Angie. Hi, Barb. Hi, Tracy. So if you do have your cellos with you, that's great. You won't need them for the first bit of this workshop. What you will need is a notebook and a pen so that you can take notes. So you can go ahead and put your cellos down. Just get yourselves nice and comfortable. The reason that I wanted to get us chatting is that I believe, and I think this is really true for cello players in general, but especially adult cello players need community to be successful. I have made my biggest progress as a cellist and a musician when I am surrounded by people who are doing the same thing as me, who are working towards the same goals. So I've made it kind of my life's mission to bring cellists like you guys together in order to create a community where we can really learn from each other. So I'm so happy that you're all here. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for that. This is a really special event for me. I love doing these workshops, and I'm really excited to help you with your cello playing. So I'm super excited to share with you some of these very powerful tools that hopefully will help you to change the way that you approach your cello playing forever. But I just want to make sure that everybody here is in the right place. So I want to make sure that you are a cellist who wants to practice with more motivation. So this is a workshop for you if you want to play with more motivation, feel more motivated to practice, if you want to play with more confidence, if you want to have more technical ability on your instrument, and if you want to perform with more creativity and musicality. So these are things I really specialize in helping adult cellists to do. And this is not a workshop for people who don't enjoy learning new ways of learning. So if you're not really open to learning a new way to approach your cello, this is probably not the place for you. And if you're not willing to invest a little bit of time into your cello playing, I always say that you don't need to invest a lot of time, but you do need to be willing and able to make a little bit of time a few times a week to play your cello if you really want to get the most out of the information that I'm going to share with you today. So what we're going to discover today are 3 methods. We're going to be discovering the most powerful practice tool that you can use to make rapid progress so you feel more motivated, and meaning when you feel more motivated that you're going to be able to play music that you love faster and with more confidence. And I don't know a single cellist who doesn't want to be able to do that. So we're going to really deep dive into what you really need to do in order to be able to make that fast progress. We're also going to be discovering method number 2, which is a simple and relaxing technique that I created myself to help you create deep resonant sound that only takes 5 minutes a day. So I noticed in the chat, a lot of you are working on improving your sound, improving your tone. And I have a really powerful method that I'm going to show you a little bit later. So that's if you have your cellos, we can try that together, or you can take some notes and try it on your own. And when you do this approach, this means that you can approach any note at all on your cello. It doesn't matter what piece it's in, and you're going to know exactly what to do to improve the way that that note sounds. So this is a very powerful method. And then method number 3 is going to be the #1 way to boost your creativity and your musicality so that you can play with your most unique cello voice and stand out from a crowd, right? As musicians, we really want to inspire others, inspire ourselves, and feel like we have a very unique creative voice. And what this means is if you have this unique voice, you're going to be able to connect with any audience you choose, whether that audience might be your dog or your cat. I know a lot of us like to play for our pets, or whether that's going to be for a very large audience, a concert hall. This will apply no matter what audience you're trying to connect with. And method number 3 really is the most surprising and effective information I have to share with you. So I want to make sure that you stick around so that you can hear method number 3, because it's really very powerful. So if you aren't able to stay all the way to the end of the workshop, there will be a replay, but I really encourage you to stay and get the benefit from learning about all 3 of these methods. So if you have any questions while we're going through this information, we're going to be having a Q&A at the end of the session where you can ask any questions you like, and I'll get people to unmute their microphones and ask your questions. However, if you are a little bit shy to ask your question or you want to just talk to me one-on-one, you're also welcome to write an email to me. My email address is mia at celloyoga.ca. And I believe a lot of you have already gotten emails from me from that address, but you can write to me anytime you like to ask me a question about anything that comes up, whether it's today or tomorrow when you're thinking about the workshop. So I just wanted to make sure that you know that I'm open for you to ask your questions. Okay, so before we dive in, I really want to get us centered in our bodies. Some of you who have been following me for a while know that my method is called cello yoga. And what that means is that we want to bring the mind and the body together. So we're going to do a little bit of a centering exercise together. So you can put down your notepads, you can put down your pens, and we're just going to get comfortable. And the reason that we're going to do this centering exercise is science-based, because science shows that when our minds work better when our bodies feel grounded. So as cellists, it's really important to ground ourselves before we play and before we take in any new information. So we're going to do a little exercise together. So what I'd like you all to do, I'd like you to close your eyes. So we'll just take a moment to do that. Close your eyes, roll your shoulders back, and I want you to take a deep breath through your nose, nice and slow. And then just let it out slowly through your mouth, very slow, just feeling the air. Then we're going to do that one more time. So just breathe in through your nose. Let it out slowly through your mouth. And now what I'd like you to do is open your eyes and just take a look around the room where you are. Just take a look and notice your surroundings. And why don't we take a moment to find our most favorite thing in the room where you're at? And you're just going to take a moment, look at that favorite object, and just take a moment to arrive. And while you're looking at this favorite object of yours, I'd like you to ask yourself some questions. The questions are, is there anything that you need right now to make yourself a little bit more comfortable before we start getting into this information? We're going to be here for about an hour, so I want to make sure that you're sitting comfortably, that you're in a room that's warm, that you feel comfortable. Do you need anything? Do you need some water? I have my water here because I'm going to be talking a lot. Check that your volume is okay. So you might need to adjust the volume so you can hear me. Make sure you can see. And as I was saying before, make sure you have a pen and paper so you can take notes. So just think about that for a second. Make sure you're really comfortable. And then you're going to just open your eyes, take a nice deep breath. Before we get started, I want to share an experience from one cellist who came to my last workshop, and this was February, I think, of last year. It might have been April, actually, the last one. So I was so touched by what he said that I really wanted to share with you what he said, because I want you to understand just how powerful this workshop can be if you commit to implementing these strategies and methods that we're going to discuss. And that is an important part. We need to commit to implementing some of these strategies. So he wrote to me and he said, Mia, I have to tell you the truth. I was so inspired and motivated ever since I participated in your workshop. The focus and the determination in my own playing is completely renewed. And I was so touched by this because Francois is a retired professional bass player, so he knows what he's doing in music, and he's taken on the cello as a retirement project. So it was really amazing to hear this from Francois. And it's my goal for you that by the end of this workshop today, that you're going to feel the exact same way as Francois. So I want to make sure you're comfortable and you're ready to take in that information. So if you have the chat nearby, can you just say, I'm ready to learn in the chat? And we can get started. I'm ready to learn, and I'm excited to share with you. Awesome, Karen. That's awesome. Wonderful. Okay, let's keep going. So my promise to you is that this information is going to help you be a better cello player. I'm absolutely confident that if you do the things I'm saying, you're going to be a better cello player. Yay, you're excited. That's awesome, Judy. But it's only going to work, and this is key. It will only work if you implement these methods. So these methods are not for cellists who just want to sit around and think about playing the cello. These are for cellists who love to play. So you need to implement these methods exactly how I'm going to show you. So be sure to listen carefully and take notes. This workshop might be a little bit different from some workshops that you've taken in the past. The information that I'm going to share with you is backed by scientific research in the fields of music, creativity, education, performance psychology, as well as my years of experience working with adult cello players of all levels. I specialize specifically in working with adults. I love it. It's my passion. So I really have spent a lot of time learning how adults learn and finding the best ways for you to learn. This workshop will be different also because, as well as being a professional cellist, I'm also a trained therapeutic yoga instructor. So you can be sure that you can trust these mind and body methods. They're not just, from left field. I've really put a lot of training and education into this, and you can trust that these methods will work for you. We're also going to be exploring techniques that have been proven to help cello players integrate your skills faster and more effectively than with traditional cello lessons. And what I mean by that, traditional cello lessons, is a lot of people are having a once-a-week lesson, once every couple of weeks, learning with a teacher, or you're trying to teach yourself with YouTube videos. And what I found is, while those methods have their place for sure, and I do some private coaching myself, the skills I'm going to show you are going to help you to progress much, much faster within community. So just to let you know that I'm serious about getting you these results, I have a really special gift for everybody who stays to the end of the presentation. You need to stay to the end so I can give you the link that you'll use to get this gift. And the gift is a PDF guide of some of my most popular tips for cellists. It's called 6 Ways to Play Cello with Less Tension and More Focus. And this guide has really helped a lot of cellists to really start to rethink the way that they practice, rethink the way that they play. So if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you this free gift. You just have to stick around, and we'll talk about that later. And as well, many of you will know that we're also going to be having a free giveaway draw, and I'm really excited about this. So at the end of the workshop, you're going to have a chance to enter your name into a free draw to win a year's worth of virtual masterclasses in my CelloYoga Masterclass series. So a couple of years ago, when I started doing these classes and workshops online, I realized quickly that people really wanted to learn from lots of different cellists, not just me. So I started a guest artist masterclass series, and we've had some amazing events in the last year with cellists that play the blues. We've had a gypsy jazz cellist, a rock cellist came to play. These are super popular workshops. It's been a lot of fun. So if you stay to the end of the workshop, we're going to do a draw, and I will announce the winners of the draw inside our Facebook group and also by email. So you'll want to stick around so that you can enter that draw. So here is just some of the workshops that we've done with Fred Leader, who plays blues, and Daniel Plain, who is a gypsy jazz and improvising cellist, and Gertrude, who is a performance specialist. These are awesome workshops, lots and lots of fun. So you're going to need to stay to the Q&A portion of the workshop to be able to enter that draw. Okay, so I don't want to bore you with too many details, but just to make sure that you can trust me, for those of you who are not familiar with me and my work as a cellist, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me so you can really understand where I'm coming from, the information that I'm sharing with you, and my background and why I teach the way that I do. So as a cellist, I have a cello performance degree from the University of Toronto in Canada, where I studied with Shauna Rolston and some other really famous cellists. I have teaching certification from the Royal Conservatory of Music, the Suzuki Association of the Americas, and as well, yoga fitness tune-up training as a therapeutic yoga instructor. And that really informs a lot of the work that I do with cellists. As well, I've also won awards for my songwriting, my improvising. I've played as a soloist and chamber musicians with dozens of professional ensembles in many different genres of music. So while I like to play classical music and I'm trained in that, I also play in lots of different other genres like pop and folk and jazz as well. And in the last few years, many of you will know because you've been part of my online community, I've been leading a thriving online community of hundreds of adult cellists and educators who are dedicated to finding more mindful and joyful ways to play the cello that are designed to meet the specific needs of adult cello players, because you guys are not children. And it's not the same. You don't learn the same way as children, though many of you may have teachers who treat you that way. And I wanted to make sure that there was a space for adult cello players to really get what they need. So here's just some of the cellists that I've been working with in the last couple of years in my program. Lots of happy cellists. I've also attended hundreds of hours of master classes and spent thousands of dollars being coached by some of the world's top cello players. And you might recognize some of these people. I've been to master classes with Yo-Yo Ma, who's one of the most wonderful people I have ever met in my life, such a wonderful educator, musician, and person. I'm curious if there's anybody here who has been to any of Yo-Yo Ma's concerts or met him at all in person, because he is an amazing cello player and just a wonderful person to work with. And some of the other people that I've worked with, these are some prominent Canadian classical cellists: Shauna Rolston, Winona Zelenka, Margaret Tabolowska, Don Whitten, some very prominent cellists in the Canadian classical scene. But my journey to get here was not easy. Michelle, yeah, not met him in person. Yeah, he is very personal. He's a wonderful person. He's just such a sweet, down-to-earth man. He's really cool. So my journey to get here as an educator and successful performer, it really wasn't easy. It really was taking quite a lot out of me to get to where I am today. I struggled for many years, and maybe some of you can relate to this. I struggled with technique, with tension, performance anxiety for years before I found these methods that I'm going to share with you that basically solved all of these problems. And that's not hyperbolic. I was able to solve a lot of these issues within a very short period of time once I discovered these kinds of methods. So let me tell you what happened. I had played cello throughout my childhood, and when I was 16, I competed in a provincial music competition, but my nerves were so bad that I had to drop out of the final round. It was really embarrassing. It was really stressful. When I was 18, I auditioned for a prestigious university, not the University of Toronto, a different one, and I didn't get in because I was so nervous that my performance just went completely haywire. And in my first year of music school, I suffered a tension injury in my left hand, and I had to sit out of rehearsals for the majority of the first semester. And you would think, okay, well, maybe things got better, but after that, things got even more challenging for me as a cellist. In my second year of university, I had a baby, and I went from having 4 to 6 hours a day to practice, which was pretty normal for music students to do that kind of practice. And as many of you will know who have become parents, I had no time to practice after that. Sometimes I would have maybe an hour a day, maybe half hour. Some days I would have no time at all. And I found this really funny picture of a pregnant cello player who seems to be having some trouble with her bow holds, unfortunately. So I had this potentially career-killing combo for any musician. I was anxious, I was tense, and I had no time to practice. So I want you to pay attention to this story, because what I hear from a lot of cellists tell me that the number one thing that's holding them back is time. Like, they don't have enough time to practice. And if that sounds like you, then I'm about to show you why that's probably not actually your real problem. So as a new mother, full of self-doubt and anxiety, I knew that I had to change something, or I would likely have to quit playing the instrument that I love to play. So I began this journey to find the most effective methods to increase my confidence, to progress faster, and to sound better. And the methods that I discovered completely changed the way that I practiced. And to be honest, they completely changed my life. They had this ripple effect that just went through every area of my life and led me to more successful paths. And I really can't stress how important these methods were to just improving my life in general. And once I began to share these methods with some of my students who I was teaching at the time, they also started to have amazing results, which was really when I knew I was onto something really special. So this is one of my students, Christy, and she came to me wanting to have more confidence and wanting to have better practice routines. And she wanted to overall have more fun in her practice. Let's take a moment. Who in the chat here, who in the meeting today would like to have more fun when you practice? Let's say yes in the chat if you'd like to make your practices and your cello progress more fun and easier. Yes, more fun during practice. We want that for sure. Yeah, we don't want it to be a grind, right? So Christy has been working with me for a while, and she is now having so much fun. She joined a summer camp and she's been able to confidently play at this summer camp and really enjoy herself. And I'm super proud of the work that she's done in order to get to that point. And this is Claudia, who's one of my students who came to me in retirement. And she had a little bit of a different requirement. She did want to have fun, but the main thing that she was concerned about was being able to play the cello in a way that respected her body as an older adult. So she is in her late 70s. And as many of you here who are kind of getting a little bit older might know, playing the cello can be in a super athletic kind of activity. So you want to make sure that you're really playing it in a way that respects your body, so that you can have the endurance that you need. If you're a person like this who wants to have more endurance and flexibility when you play the cello, let's put yes in the chat for that. And Claudia told me that once she started working with me, she just loved the sessions and she's feeling more confident. And she's just enjoying her playing more overall. Yes, yes, MS and EDS. Yeah, those are difficult things to deal with. A lot of us really need some really special tools for our body. Yeah, flexibility for sure. Yeah. And this is Andrew, and he had another different reason for wanting my help with the cello. So he was coming back to the cello after 20 years. He was going to go into a performance program, but then he got sidetracked and he went into drama instead, I think. So he was returning to the cello and he had some back tension. And again, he wanted to have more fun in his practice and just kind of increase that, the ability to enjoy his music making. And again, he has found that with my methods that he's just enjoying his practice a lot more and feeling a lot more relaxed. So all these cellists have used the methods I'm about to share with you to greatly improve their confidence and ability on the cello while having fun doing it. So if you have, I see that someone has raised their hand. If you have any questions while we're going through this, write down your questions. At the end of the session, we're going to have a Q&A section where you can ask me any questions that you want that come up during the workshop. All right, so since I started sharing these mind and body methods, the feedback that I've had from adult cellists of all levels, all ages has been really incredible. In fact, the results that cellists are getting from these methods have been so awesome that more and more cellists have been asking me to help them. You can see how many people are here today. I've had workshops like this where we have 100 cellists, lots of people wanting my help. And it's been a bit of a problem. I started to have a problem because I could only reach a small number of cello players through one-on-one lessons and workshops like these. And honestly, the more that I coach cellists like you guys using these methods, the more that I realize that one-on-one private lessons or trying to teach yourself on YouTube by themselves, these are not the best way for most adult cellists to learn and improve. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. I wanted to have a bigger impact on cellists. So to help more cellists benefit from these powerful methods, I created a new program to help adult cellists who have played for at least 1 year get the results that they're looking for, and I feel like adult cellists really deserve. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to share that a really surprising thing that happened after I created the program. So cellists who were having one-on-one lessons, so some of my studio cellists who I teach and who then joined my program told me that they were getting much more out of this program and learning faster than in private sessions, which I found really surprising because most people think having private lessons is the gold standard for learning the cello. They were feeling motivated and inspired and confident in their own skills in a way that I wasn't seeing them do in their private lessons. So here's just a couple of people from my online program who were sharing some of their results. Pamela said that she has been, her playing has grown by leaps and bounds since she started playing with me. And then Beverly, who I believe is here today, says that she can say the same. It's only been 6 weeks and I've learned so much. Can't wait to see what 6 months will bring. And so that's really heartwarming for me to hear. I'm so excited. I'm going to be sharing this information with you guys in just a moment. So I'm going to tell you more about this exciting program, but first, let me show you the path, how I got there, how I found the life-changing path that's helped me and so many other cellists to finally play this beautiful music we always dreamed of, and that some of us as cellists, adult cellists, might feel, oh, it's too late for me. And I'm going to show you how that just is not true. It's my hope that this path will inspire you to make some necessary changes to the way that you're approaching your cello practice and your playing. And so remember when I told you that I was just an average cello student and I was suffering with anxiety and tension and I had no time to practice? And maybe some of you can relate to some of those aspects. In my third year of music school, so I made it to my third year, my professor told me that she thought I shouldn't return for my final year of school. And obviously, as a music student, passionate about music, this is really devastating to me. So that's really when I knew that I had to change something about how I was approaching the cello. So I began to imagine a totally different future. And what I'd like to do now, we're all going to do this together. I want you just to put down your notepad. We're going to take a deep breath and we're going to imagine our future cello selves. So just take a moment, roll those shoulders back, breathe in through your nose. I want you just to picture yourself with your cello, feeling really comfortable and relaxed. I want you to picture playing your favorite piece of music. Now, this doesn't have to be something that you can currently play, though it might be. It could be an aspirational piece. I want you to imagine playing that piece with a deep sense of control and confidence. I want you to imagine creating the most beautiful and unique sound that you possibly can on your instrument. I want you to imagine that you've eliminated the tension and the pain from your playing, if that's something that you experience. And I want you to imagine yourself as an expressive, musical, and creative being. Imagine yourself fundamentally understanding all the mechanics, the practical theory of the cello, and effortlessly understanding how to move around your instrument. And lastly, I want you to imagine that you are your own best teacher. So while there's lots of wonderful teachers out there, you are the best teacher for yourself. And what I do with adult cellists is try to get you to that point where you understand that you are your best teacher. Okay, so we can open our eyes. Now, what I want you to do, if you can, in the chat, can you share a little bit about what you were imagining? So we're just going to take a minute here. Maybe you can share what piece you were playing as you're imagining. Or can you think about where you were? Where were you playing? Who were you playing for? So if you could just share one thing about what you just thought about when we did that exercise. And we're just going to share that in a chat. Let's take a second to do that. Learn the Led Zeppelin. So fun. I love Led Zeppelin. That is so fun. What a fun piece. The Swan. Yes. Ah, gorgeous. Yeah, with that really confident tone. Dvorak Cello Concerto B minor. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's wonderful. The Swan. Yes, gorgeous. The Swan is a favorite. Playing praise music at church. Yes, lovely, lovely. So keep that in your mind. Once I imagined all this, so I had a dream, I wrote it down and I committed to accomplishing my goals within 1 year. And this is what I want you guys to do as well. I want you to think about this big goal of yours and I want you to make a commitment to it. Now, it may not be something you can accomplish in a year, but I can tell you, you can get pretty close to it in a year if you take the steps that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Yes, Bach G major, beautiful. Express it, yes, beautiful. This one, expressing the beautiful moving tone I desire, like singing. Yesterday, oh, I loved yesterday, gorgeous. You guys have such beautiful ideas. Okay, so let's keep going here. Oops, oopsie, okay. So I want you to pay attention to what I just said about it taking 1 year to reach my goals, right? I was feeling anxious, I was feeling tense. My professor wanted me to quit. I often hear cellists say, and even professional cellists say, that they think it takes a lifetime to achieve your musical goals. And while that might be true in that we are always improving, it's not necessarily true that you can't get to where you want to go in a reasonable period of time. Again, though, you need to know the right steps to take. You need to be willing to make that commitment to yourself. You need a little bit of time. And I just want to say to you now, because I know that this is something that a lot of adults feel, as an adult cellist, if you started later in life or you took a break and you came back, it is not too late to learn the beautiful music that you want to learn. You are not behind. So after this year, guess what happened after 1 year? I reached my goals and I surpassed them. And I was so happy and I couldn't believe that I'd done it. So after this 1 year of using the methods that we're going to be talking about, I went on tour. I went on my first cross-Canada tour. So this is me on the radio in Winnipeg. I released my first independent album of original cello music, and this was 1 year after graduation. This album was nominated for a Toronto Independent Music Award, and it won me full funding from Factor Canada. So this was just a huge win in my life. After thinking that I was going to quit the cello, this just turned everything around for me. And this is me playing a Vivaldi concerto with a professional orchestra at the end of my degree. That was a wonderful experience and really exciting to do. And it just felt so good. So since then, I've been hired to play with world-class bands, filmmakers, orchestras, and musicians in all genres, as well as pursuing a successful career as a teaching artist. So these are just some of the concerts and people that I played with. My studio of kids that I used to teach. I now focus more on adult education, but I used to teach lots of children. And with the right mindset, these methods can work for any cellist in a short period of time, just like they did for me. But you're going to need to be ready to let go of some of these old ways of practice that have not been working for you. And I think many of you will know. Let's take a moment in the chat. Can you share one thing you think you might be doing in your practice sessions or not doing? What's something that's holding you back from being the best cello player that you can be? What's something you're doing or not doing? Let's share that in the chat. Lacking clear goals. Yes, that is key. That is key. We can't get anywhere if we don't know where we're going. Not visualizing an audience. Yeah, for sure. This goal making can be really challenging, especially as busy adults when we have so many things to think about. Not running scales. Yeah. Poor motivation. Yeah. These things are a problem for sure. So let's figure out how to solve them. Let's do that together. Frustration of not playing at the same level I was years ago. Yeah, that's that inner critic, right? Getting in the way. So let's figure out what we need to do. So are you ready to get into it? Let's say yes in the chat if we're ready to go. And we are going to start right into the first method. The first method is my most powerful practice tool, the most powerful practice tool you can use. This is a mindful tool to make rapid progress so that you can feel more motivated. So some of you are saying that motivation is a problem and we need to solve it or we're not going to get anywhere. And when you have this problem and you're able to solve it, this means you're going to be able to play music that you love sooner and with more confidence. So if you remember when I told you that after I had my baby was born, I went from having 4 to 6 hours a day to practice to sometimes basically having less than 1 hour. Let's see who has a problem finding time to practice. Who in the chat has a difficult time finding that time to practice? This could be a very common issue for people. And we're going to figure out what we can do about it. So at that time, my primary cello professor told me that I should quit. And she thought that I would not be successful in reaching my goals without dedicating countless hours that I did not have. So she was of the school of thought that you have to put in like 5-6 hours of practice a day in order to really make progress. But she was wrong. And so I had another mentor at the time, Winona Zelenka, who is one of Canada's most celebrated cellists. She was also, when I first met her, a mom of 2 very small children. I came to Winona in tears, completely devastated. I thought that my career was over, but she said something to me that I will never forget. Instead of telling me to quit, like my other professor had, she told me that Marion is my name, also Mia, you need to learn to practice as efficiently as possible. So just take that in for a moment. Practice as efficiently as possible if you want to be using a little bit of time to make a lot of progress. So at the time, Winona had these 2 small kids, and she was the assistant principal cellist of the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. In our conversation, she told me that after having her children, she rarely had more than 90 minutes in a day if she was lucky to practice. And yet she was making it work. And later on, she got promoted to principal cellist of the Toronto Symphony. So she is quite an inspiration to me and to anybody who says that they don't have time to practice. So what I learned from Winona on that day changed my mindset about the biggest myth that people believe about music. Most adult cellists believe that you have to spend hours and hours a day practicing to make real progress. And they believe that if you didn't learn as a child, then you're already behind and you're never going to catch up. But that is a total myth. I've seen people make incredible progress at any age. Learning to practice efficiently helps you to progress faster. And when you progress faster, you sound better. And when you sound better, you're going to be more motivated. So it's the sounding better that creates the motivation. We lose motivation because we're frustrated with how we sound and what's going on and not making progress, feeling that plateau. So when you sound better, you enjoy yourself more, and then you start to begin to prioritize music making in your life, and then you start to find the time. So this is true even if you only have a small amount of time to practice right now. So I have met people that are not practicing at all right now. They have stopped practicing. They're completely demotivated, or they only have 5 minutes a week. But once they start doing what I'm going to tell you in a moment, they're easily able to increase that time. So this process leads to a positive feedback loop. It's one of the most powerful psychological tools that you can use to reach your goals. So the best part about this is that anyone can implement it. It doesn't matter what level you're at right now. It doesn't matter how little you're practicing or how much you're practicing. It doesn't matter how long you've been playing the cello or how little time you think you have to practice. So now you might be wondering, okay, that's pretty easy to say, right? But how? How do I practice more efficiently? What does that look like? How do I do it? So luckily, Winona taught me that also, and I'm going to share this knowledge with you right now. So the number one tool that Winona and other super busy, because they're all very, very busy humans, super busy top performers. This is true in not just music, but every top performing field anywhere, who have no time to practice. What they use is called 1-point practice. 1-point practice. I want you to write that down. I want you to circle it. I want you to make it big. You can draw a picture, put it on your wall. This is so key to you making progress. And the reason I'm stressing this is because even though it seems very simple, it's actually quite difficult to implement. So we're going to kind of go through a little bit of an exercise to figure out how we can implement 1-point practice. So in 1-point practice, it's the mind and body science of setting laser-focused intention. Laser, this word laser, take notice of that. Laser-focused intention for each moment of your practice so that you can easily build technical and musical mastery without becoming overwhelmed with your choices or getting distracted. And that's key as well. We want to create a type of focus where you are not moving into overwhelm, because when you move into overwhelm, you'll get frustrated, you'll stop playing, your playing might even get worse because you're working on things that are creating tension in your body. And we also want to create something that's going to help us to stop getting distracted as we practice. So the way that we do this, first of all, let's talk about where this method comes from, because I think that's really important to understand where the method comes from. So setting mindful intentions, it's an ancient wisdom and discipline practice. It's thousands of years old. It was first mastered by Buddhist monks, probably about 3,000, 4,000 years ago, and brought to the West through the practice of yoga. And this is where my yoga training comes in. So here's a Buddhist monk. He is practicing 1-point focus, 1-point practice, looking at the 1 point. And it's based on one principle. The idea is that wherever you put your attention, and we know this intuitively, but some of us are not able to kind of make it happen. Wherever you put your attention, your energy is going to flow there, right? So wherever intention goes, energy flows. If there's no intention and no attention, then your attention will become diffuse, and you'll kind of find yourself multitasking, getting distracted, being all over the place, and not making progress. So what we need to do is really work on that mindful intention as musicians. What this means is that making joyful and satisfying progress in any area of your life relies on your ability to focus on the present moment, not the future, not what you want to accomplish, not what you have done in the past, right? All your successes and your failures, but what you're doing right now in the moment. So 1-point practice harnesses this ancient wisdom to get cello players of any age or level incredible results in a really small time period, in as little time as possible. Now, here are some ideas of ways that you can implement 1-point practice. I'm going to give you some of these ideas, and then what I'd like you to do is also brainstorm your own ideas about how you can implement 1-point practice. So here's some examples. You can, while you're playing your cello, only pay attention to the quality of your sound. So that means you're not going to be worrying about being in tune. You're not going to be worrying about having the right rhythm. You're not going to be worrying about dynamics. You're going to sit down, say to yourself, I am going to listen to my sound and improve my sound only. That's a 1-point practice. You can also put your sheet music away. So get that music off your stand and allow yourself to improvise and play your cello in just a free way where you're exploring the beautiful sound that you're creating without the visual distraction of a piece of music in front of you. You can also clap the rhythm of one small piece of a song. So if you have a piece of music in front of you and it has some difficult rhythms, you can just isolate those small rhythmic parts, put down your cello, clap or tap that rhythm so that you can feel it in your body. You can put your cello away and listen to a recording of a beautiful cello player playing a piece of music that you aspire to play. Because if you know what you want something to sound like, you're much more likely to be able to play it. So one of the things you can do that I just thought of recently, and I was doing for myself yesterday, and we're going to do it together. You can also write yourself a note telling yourself why now, and not tomorrow, not yesterday, why now is the best time for you to commit to your cello progress. So some of you might be sitting here thinking, I have a super busy life, really busy schedule. I have this and that to go to, and this and that person to look after, and I have my dogs, and I have my this and that, and I don't have any time for this. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to be a better cello player, you have to make that commitment inside yourself. And I'd like to try that together right now. We are going to write a little bit of a note to yourself on your piece of paper. I want you to write down for yourself why now, today, is the best time for you to commit to your cello playing and why you should not wait until a later date. So we're going to do that now. I want you to write down why. What is the why for you of cello playing? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? And why should you do it today? And then let's share some of those answers in the chat when you've got that written down. In view tomorrow, it's not promised. That's right. Tomorrow is not promised. You don't even know if you're going to be here, not to be morbid, but you don't know it. Because it's better to get started early with supportive habits than have to unlearn ones that don't serve me. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's why. Why we have to do it now, not later. Wonderful. Yeah, so keep sharing those ideas. You guys can read those for each other. So yes, this is key. We have to be taking action. And how do we know? What is the proof? How do we know that 1-point practice even works? Like, why am I even telling you this? Well, the truth is that scientists, modern science, and ancient wisdom agree. And I have found in life that when the ancient human wisdom and the modern science come together, this is where we get real truth and real things that are really, really powerful. So scientists now know and have studied the brain and have found out that the brain, your brain, is incapable of paying attention to two things at the same time. Now, many of you might think, oh, I'm a really great multitasker. I can do this and I can do that, and it's not a problem. But that multitasking, what that actually is your brain switching back and forth between multiple tasks. And scientists have found that when we do this, when we switch back and forth, and for the musical example would be you're trying to get rhythm right at the same time you're trying to get notes right, at the same time you're trying to get tone right. This reduces your productivity and the things that you actually accomplish, and it increases your mistakes by up to 50%. So we know from doing various psychological tests that multitasking is a terrible way to learn anything. We need to pull it apart into very small pieces and use this 1-point practice. This is a letter from one of my students, Allison, who wrote to me to say, thank you for your emphasis on 1-point practice as a way to make faster progress. I've always been a multitasker and trying to do too many things at once. And as a result, nothing was sounding better. I was experiencing a lot of frustration. So now I focus on one thing at a time and I'm learning music much faster. So it really is, the proof is in the pudding. People who try this, you might be surprised. You think, I don't have time to just sit here and play one note. I have a million notes to learn. But if you do take that time to sit there and play one note, that note is going to be a very beautiful note, and it's going to be a foundation for all the other notes that you play afterwards. So you need to make that time to do it. If you're a person, and let's take a little survey in the chat. Let's be honest with ourselves. Who here is a multitasker? Who has a tendency to try and do a million things all at once? Too many things, and kind of get distracted because you're doing too many things. So if you're one of these people that multitasks during practice, you need to start using this 1-point practice method. So we're going to be covering more in a second, but before we move on, let's take a moment, think about your own practice, and think about in your next practice session, which hopefully will be today, how can you implement 1-point practice? So you're going to write down, in my next practice session, I'm going to do this. So you can see here on the screen, in my next practice session, I will choose to focus my attention on. And I want you to be as specific as possible. So I don't want you to write, I'm going to focus on sounding better, because that is very vague. I want you to be very, very specific about what you're going to do next time you practice. And then let's write some of those things in the chat. So let me know in the chat, what are you going to do specifically in your next practice? In my next practice session, I'm going to focus my attention on spending an entire session just getting my body comfortable with the cello. I love that. Yes, I love that. And we're going to be talking a little bit more. We're going to do a little exercise together to help you with that. So you'll be able to feel more comfortable with your cello. Vibrato. Okay, yes, so you can focus just on your vibrato. Yes, beautiful. Nothing else, which means taking away all the other hard stuff, right? So that you can really think about that vibrato. Focusing on smooth bowing. Yes, that's really good. You can get even more specific with smooth bowing, because smooth bowing can talk about smooth bowing on one string or over string crossings, pronating, then tone quality, then vibrato. Yes, so that's a few different focuses. You could put them in a row, write them down for yourself. Long, smooth bowing, improvisation. Yes, wonderful. These are all wonderful ideas. I think with many of these ideas, you could still get more specific. So for example, if you're focusing on improvisation, what kind of improvisation? Are you going to put a backing track on and play a pentatonic scale? Are you going to improvise fast or slow? So when you're thinking about 1-point practice, the idea is to use very, very specific language in order to create your specific goals. So really be as specific as possible. And what I found works best, if you really want this method to work for you, it's best to come up with 4 or 5 focused intentions that you can cycle through in a practice session. Because the reality is if you try to sit there for an hour and focus on, let's say, your vibrato, you're going to quickly lose focus, and that's very normal. You're going to get bored, you're going to get tired, and you're going to lose your focus. So what it's been found, science has found that humans can only really focus on one specific task. So let's say you're working on vibrato, you can only really focus on that for up to 20 minutes at a time. And that's being generous. A lot of humans, myself included, I think I have about a 10-minute window where I can keep the focus on one specific task, and then I have to switch. I have a little bit of ADHD. I don't know if any of you struggle with that too, but I need to rotate my tasks really quite frequently. Otherwise, I'm just distracted and out to lunch. So when you're doing, let's say you have an hour and you want to break it down, quickly get a notepad, Write 5 things on that notepad that you're going to look at as you go through your practice. You know, you don't have to labor and think about it for too long, but as you go through your practice, check each of those things off your list. You should have, in an hour, you should have at least 3 focused intentions. If I was practicing for an hour, I would probably have maybe 5 or 6. All right, so that was method number 1. Let's move on to method number 2. And this is the method where we will, if you have your cello, you are going to have the opportunity to try something with your cello. If you don't, that's totally fine too. You can just take some notes, but if you have your cello, you can go ahead and go get that and set up. This is a method. It's a simple and relaxing technique to create deep and resonant sound. And who doesn't want to create that sound? And what the wonderful thing about this is it only takes 5 minutes a day. You do have to give it the 5 minutes a day though. If you do this once a week, you'll get some benefit, but the real benefit of this is doing it day after day for 5 minutes. If you only have 5 minutes in a day to practice, this is what I would spend my 5 minutes on. So it's simple, it's relaxing, and let me tell you how I came to this method. So when I first arrived at music school, I was accepted into a general music first year. I wasn't yet skilled enough to enter the performance program, so I was put on a probationary period. During that time, something happened that not only helped me to ace my audition at the end of the year and be accepted into the performance program, but it also earned me a compliment from one of my professors that he'd never heard a student improve so fast in 1 year. So you might be thinking that this was because I practiced a lot. But if you remember what we were talking about earlier, it's not so much about what you practice or how long you practice, but what you practice. So while I did practice, one incredible discovery blew the rest of my efforts out of the water. So as a young person living in a big city for the first time, I opened myself up to every possible experience. And one of those experiences was visiting a traditional yoga center. So I had never taken a yoga class. I didn't know what yoga was all about. And I visited this traditional yoga center that was near the school for the first time. My friend encouraged me to go to a class, and this was a super strict, I think it was Bikram. I think it was Bikram yoga. Very strict, very traditional practice, very hard. We had to hold many difficult poses that at the time I could not do over the course of a 90-minute class. It was quite the sort of trial by fire. If you've ever been to a yoga class, some of them are quite nice and easy. Others are incredibly difficult. This was one of the difficult ones. Before each pose, however, we were prompted to breathe in very specific and rhythmic ways. And this was my first introduction to rhythmic breathing and just the power that it has to help you. And it helped us to move through all of these difficult poses with much greater ease. And I just found this a revolutionary idea. So afterwards, I felt really tired. I felt sore, but I was in complete awe and transformed by the things that I found myself capable of doing that I never thought that I would be able to do physically, because I was not an athletic person. I didn't think of myself as an athlete until that point, but these breathing exercises got me being able to do some incredible things. So I was so inspired by this practice that I began to kind of think about how I could integrate it into my music life. So I came up with this idea, this experiment that I call musical yoga. My idea was to combine some of my 1-point practice intentions, so some of those focused things that I was doing that Winona had helped me to come up with the breathing patterns I was learning in yoga and meditation classes. I began playing long open string bows for 5 minutes a day, combining different breathing patterns with the rhythmic movement of my bow. And the result was just incredible. The result was a deep connection between my body and the sound that I was producing on my cello. So there was really a oneness between me and the cello that I had never felt before. And not only that, but the tension and the uncertainty in my sound, it almost completely disappeared. And it happened so quickly and so effortlessly. After a few weeks, I was really creating this beautiful, deep sound that I had never been able to connect with before, with very little effort. And this sound inspired my professor at the end of that year to say that he'd never heard someone improve so quickly in a year. So what was the key? What was the key to creating that buttery sound? The key was something that I call long bow meditation. And this is specific because a lot of you will have experience playing long bows, but long bow meditation is a very specific practice where we sync the breath with the bow. And we're going to go through one of these long bow meditations together if you have your cello. Long bow meditation is the practice of syncing up the speed and rhythm of your breathing to the speed and rhythm of your bow. So you could try this even if you don't have your cello. If you have your bow, you can get your bow. We can do this together. Okay, so if you have your cello with you, I'm going to guide you through a version of this deeply soothing and relaxing experience. If you don't worry, we can try this later. As long as you take some steps. So the first thing I want you to do, I'm going to put my bow down for a second and imagine. You're going to embrace your cello. If you don't have your cello, just imagine you're embracing your cello. Okay, so you're going to sit nice and tall. Take a deep breath. You're going to embrace your cello in a big, big hug. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to let go of your cello or your imaginary cello. Roll your shoulders back. Let your neck soften. And we're going to do that one more time. Imagine that you're embracing your cello or actually embracing your cello. Take a deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Now let go with your arms. Roll your shoulders back. And just take a moment to notice how you feel. I found the first few times I did this, it felt a little bit uncomfortable and odd. After a number of times, if you do this each day, you start to feel your cello as part of your body. And that's something that we really, really want to develop as cellists. We do not want to feel like our cello is this large, unwieldy instrument. We don't want to feel like it's something separate from us. I call it the cello body. You want to feel like your cello is literally part of your body. It's like having a big belly. And one of the most powerful ways to get in touch with that is to sit, breathe, and hug your cello. It might sound a little bit airy-fairy, a little bit hippie, but honestly, when you kind of embrace it as part of you, that is super powerful. And it really is the first step to feeling like you're not fighting your instrument. So we call this square breathing. Some of you might be familiar with this from yoga and meditation. Square breathing, it's a powerful way to let go of tension. When you do it with your cello in your arms, you're kind of sending a message to your brain that the cello is safe, that it doesn't cause stress. It helps you to slow down your breathing and get control of your mind and body. And you need that. As a cellist, you need to be able to control your mind and control your body. So now we're going to try, I think I went too far there. We're going to try a different thing. So now what I want you to do, you're going to take your bow. If you have your bow, you can do this with me. I don't have my cello. I'm just going to do this with my bow. And you're going to put your bow on the D string. Okay, so imagine this is the D string. You're going to put your bow on the D string at the frog. And just gently sit there. Notice your shoulders and your neck. Make sure they are very relaxed. And again, we're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Now, some of you, when you inhale, you might notice and feel a rising in the body, natural rising with your arm. And on the exhale, you may feel a natural sinking of the body. This is something extremely important to get in touch with if you're going to make beautiful sound on your cello, is the natural rise and fall of your body with your breath. As you exhale, notice that your bow sinks deeper into the string. If it's not doing that, if you're not noticing your bow sinking deeper, gently remind your right arm to relax. Let's try this one more time. Place your bow on the D string at the frog. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, relax, 3, 4. hold, 2, 3, 4. So if you're doing this, you may even notice that wrist coming up and down in the bow hold in a nice kind of gentle wave. Let's move on to step 3, where we're actually going to make some sound. On the next exhale, what we're going to do is we're going to play a down bow for a count of 4. So you're going to put your bow on the D string at the frog. We're going to inhale, and then on the exhale, you're actually going to play and use the whole bow while we count to 4. So it's going to be like this. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, play, 2, 3, 4. And you're exhaling while you play. Let's try that again. Back to the frog. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, play, 3, 4. So if you're doing this with a nice sense of relaxation on your exhale, you're going to feel the bow sinking into the string. And it's this sinking that makes you have beautiful sound when you're playing. So next, step 4, you want to get a little bit more complicated. You can combine your exhales with your down bows and your inhales with your up bows. So you can do this on any open string. The idea is just to inhale on the down bow, inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, just like that. So you can try that on any open string. I encourage you after this workshop to spend just a few minutes exploring this. Try combining your exhales and inhales with your bow. You can also combine different counts. So we did a count of 4, which is square breathing, but you can also try longer counts or shorter counts, faster or slower. So at first, this can feel pretty awkward if you're not used to it. If you're not used to being in touch with your breathing, it can feel pretty odd. But with practice, the relationship between your bow and your breath is going to become stronger. And you're going to start to hear a significant difference. When I get my students to do this over a period of time, it doesn't take very long, just a few weeks. The quality of your sound and the way that you feel, most importantly, when you play is going to really improve. So this is just one example of long bow meditations. I encourage you to come up with your own ideas, combine different speeds, different counts of breath with that movement of your bow. And the results from long bow meditation is really quite incredible. I know from my own experience, but other cellists that I've worked with, Cara is a cellist I worked with and continue to work with in my program that experiences a lot of tension and problems with her sound. She wrote to me after she'd been practicing these long bow meditations to say, before, I felt obligated to practice in order to maintain technique. And this seemed to bring tension to my practice. So maybe some of you have this, this feeling, you sit down to practice and you feel like you have to do your scales, you have to do your arpeggios, you have to do your etudes, and you start to feel tense right away. So she said that once she started doing this as part of her practice, she wanted to practice simply for the relaxation and the meditative qualities. And this goes back to motivation. Because if you're enjoying playing, then you will play. Science supports these results as well. A Harvard doctor wrote that there's a very direct relationship between your breath rate, your mood state, and the autonomic nervous system. So what this means is that basically when you're playing and you're really in touch with your breathing, everything you do is going to be more enhanced. Your performance is going to be enhanced. This means that an added benefit of your long bow meditations is not only better sound, and bow control, but you're going to have an overall better sense of your well-being. You're just going to feel better. And this feeling better is going to help every aspect of your playing. All right, so are you ready for method number 3? Let me know in the chat if you're ready to go on. This is possibly the most important tool that I can give you to help you increase your confidence as a cello player. Just want to take a second to look at the, look at the chat. If you need a moment right now, because we have been at this for about an hour, and this is a really great moment, let's take just a minute. We're going to stand up. I want you to stand up. I notice some of you yawning. Take a moment, stand up, stretch your legs, move your body. Let's just take a minute because we have a lot of information that I want to share with you. Have a sip of water. Let's just take a second. And maybe in the chat, let's share what it is. I'm going to just stop the screen share for a moment. Let's take a moment to share in the chat what you've learned so far that you think is going to help you. So I just want to remind you, stick around because I have that free gift that I want to give everybody. And we also have our draw. And I also have a really special offer for those of you just for today. So if you stay for the whole session, I have something that I want to talk to you guys about, a special offer I have for everybody who is joined today. So a lot of important things to stick around for. So make sure that you do that. So method number 3, I am so excited to share method number 3 with you because this is such a powerful tool. It's the #1 way to boost your confidence and your creativity. As musicians, we need both these things in spades, and these can be the hardest things to access. How do I feel more confident, especially if you're an adult and you're coming to this later in life? And how do I feel more creative? If you're not a naturally artistic, creative person, how do we go about developing that creativity? And the confidence and the creativity go hand in hand. If you have one, it's more easy to develop the other, which is why I put these two things together. So let's discuss this. So I'll tell you my journey to get to confident and creative playing. So if you remember that competition that I told you about that I had to leave because I was so nervous I couldn't perform. A week before that, I had won another music competition with the highest mark of anyone that year. So this was a really interesting problem that I had, and some of you might relate to this. For a long time, inconsistent performance was my thing. So sometimes I would do really great, and other times I would totally fall apart, like Mr. Potato Head here. And I thought that the problem was in my head. I had a diagnosed anxiety disorder, and so I thought, well, it made sense that this would affect my performances. But something about that explanation didn't quite make sense because I figured if I had this anxiety disorder, it would be making all my performances really difficult. And it was really only certain ones. It would kind of come and go. So there were times when I was feeling intensely nervous, but I still performed really well. So that was interesting. I could have like a huge amount of nerves. I'd be really stressed out in my body, but I would still perform well. And then there were other times when I felt fine. I felt relaxed. I felt like everything was going to go fine. And I totally bombed. So I didn't really understand what was happening here. So then something that happened that changed my life forever. I suffered, if you remember, I told you I suffered this tension-related injury in my left hand. And it forced me to stop playing for a whole month. So this was in my first year university. I couldn't play. I couldn't practice. So while I was injured and I started to hang around the school, I was feeling pretty sorry for myself. I met a group of jazz musicians. So at U of T, there's a very large classical program and there's a smaller jazz program. But I was always really quite fascinated by what the jazz musicians were doing. I started to listen to them during their jam sessions because they were often just jamming in a classroom or jamming in the hall. And I immediately noticed something really, really different about the way that these musicians were interacting with each other compared to what I had experienced with my classical peers in a classical music program. And it really was a night and day difference. I noticed that when these players were playing together, they looked and they sounded relaxed. They were not afraid to share with each other. They were not afraid to experiment. And they were not afraid to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes were a good thing. They didn't correct each other constantly, but instead they would ask questions and get really curious about what was going on and really curious about sound in general. And I just found this to be a revelation. One thing that I noticed because of the things that they were doing was how natural and authentic each musician sounded. Whereas in the classical program, we were all being trained to kind of sound the same. The jazzers had basically their value was that each musician had their own unique voice. Mistakes were celebrated as opportunities to learn and find new harmonies and texture. This was really, really different to how I had been taught because I had been taught, whether it was, unconscious or consciously, to critically analyze every single note I played. And I don't know if some of you might have had that similar experience. If you came from a classical background, those of you who did you have this experience of of learning to critically analyze all your notes. I learned this, and what it did was made me a very nervous musician because I felt like I had to be perfect, which was actually keeping me back from being perfect. So as I spent more time with these jazz musicians and my hand was healing, one of them invited me to play in an informal jazz session. And it was a jam session of 12 players. We were just kind of playing free improvisation, all kinds of instruments. At first, I was really scared and self-conscious, and I felt like I had nothing to contribute. But after a time, I started to add a note here and there, and there was this big, beautiful sound. That's when I noticed something really wonderful. For the first time in my life, my body relaxed as a musician. I found myself able to play technically demanding patterns that I never would have been able to do in my classical repertoire, but I was playing these demanding patterns by ear with clear and beautiful sound. The support and the community I felt among these jazzers and their culture of accepting mistakes allowed me to find my confidence and my own unique creative voice. So if you want to get confident, you need a community to support you. You need to start accepting those mistakes as learning opportunities. So I essentially learned the fundamental rule of improvisation, that there's no such thing as a wrong note. And people laugh when I say that, but improvisation, it's actually true. There's no such thing as a wrong note, only the creative decisions about how and when you're going to play those notes. This idea was revolutionary to me, and I've never felt more free as a musician. So after that, I made it my mission to play with as many creative and improvising musicians as I possibly could. And I spent less time practicing alone. A lot of us think we need to woodshed the heck out of our cello playing, but I spent less time practicing alone, more time improvising. And I started to get compliments from peers in the classical program on my expressive and creative sound. And there was also a bonus effect to this. The tension, the pain, the nervousness that I've been experiencing since my earliest days of playing instruments began to disappear. And that's how I discovered and learned the secret to playing with confidence, even if you're a nervous performer. This works for anybody. The key to being cool, calm, confident, any musical situation is to discover and create and learn music within a community of supportive and musically adventurous peers. If you're trying to do this on your own, or if you're trying to do this just with one private teacher, this is not going to get you where you want to go. Well, it might, but it's going to take a lot longer, and it's going to be a lot more frustrating. So in fact, finding your people and meeting with them a few times a week is probably the single most important thing you can do if you want to sustain your motivation and your passion and work through your roadblocks as a cellist and musician. If you're learning the old way with a teacher, you might make progress, but you won't be connecting to that larger, you won't be connecting to that larger world of music. And that really is the key to unlocking a lifetime of musical joy. You can't do this on your own. It's not fun. You might have fun for a little while. You might consider yourself an introverted person who likes to spend a lot of time by yourself. But if you are not exposing yourself to that bigger musical community, you're just not getting the bigger picture. So Christy's one of my students here. She is with a beautiful koala. And she's one of my students that I've been working with online for the longest. And she joined my Facebook group. Then she came to one of my workshops. Then she signed up for my first online program. And she's since gone on to join my growing community of adult cellists who meet weekly to learn, improvise, and play together. And here she is in one of our groups playing along to some improvisation music. We call ourselves the Chill Cats Cello Ensemble. And she wrote to me after this experience with the ensemble to say that she'd had a lot of fun and that she just loved connecting with others and being able to play in an ensemble group. We don't all have the opportunity to play in an ensemble where we live. And even if we do, we may not have the opportunity to connect with other cellists who are learning in the same ways that we are. And this is Pam, who's also a member of my online ensemble, who I've been working with to help her improvise. And when we first came together, she'd never improvised before, but now she's just loving it. She's learning to play E minor scales and just having a lot of fun improvising and kind of just getting in touch with her cello voice. Members of our community have reported that they've been making much faster progress and having more fun working together than when they just had a private teacher. Because a private teacher could be a lot of pressure. I do sometimes teach privately, but I do find that my students can feel kind of pressured. There's a lot of attention on them. And if you're trying to learn on your own from YouTube, that is also a bit of a disaster because you get too many voices and not enough focus. Science shows us that why this group learning is so much better than learning alone. So this is really supported by research. It's not just from the experience that I've had with students, but working with others enables you to pool your ideas and see problems from different perspectives. So in a group situation, you can attempt tasks that couldn't be accomplished just by an individual. You can combine your variety of skills. This is why I put adults of all different levels all together in the same class. And you can combine your expertise to tackle these complex and larger scale problems. And in one Harvard study, it was discovered that the positive results of group learning were felt even when people reported that they didn't think they were learning anything at all. So even though people thought this group learning was not working, the test results actually showed that those who had participated in active workshops and well-organized group experiences outperformed those who were trying to do this. Yeah, like the Suzuki method, exactly. Suzuki method is all about group learning and community. Super important. So if you want to take your cello playing to the next level and you want to feel really confident, you want to make sure that you're learning inside of a group of like-minded cello players who can support and inspire you on your journey. So let's just quickly go over what we've learned. So we just take a quick recap. So we learned 1-point practice, which is the most powerful practice tool to make rapid progress, so you can feel motivated and progress faster. 1-point practice, you eliminate your confusion while improving your motivation and focus. You stop multitasking so that you can dedicate 100% of your brain to one musical task at a time. You can set mindful intentions for each practice session so that you can have laser focus while you work towards your goal. And in method 2, we learned a simple and relaxing technique that you can try with your cello to create deep and resonant sound that only takes 5 minutes a day, called longbow meditation. This is where you practice longbow meditations every day for 5 minutes so that you can deeply connect with the sound of your instrument. And this could be your 1-point practice. For your next practice, longbow meditation could be it. You use yogic and rhythmic breathing practice to reduce tension, improve your sound. And method number 3, my most powerful tool, what I recommend to everybody, how to boost your confidence and creativity, is to discover and create music within a supportive and musically adventurous group of cello peers. You're going to learn and play with others in a group setting so that you can benefit from quicker solutions to your problems. You want to practice improvisation to free your mind from the rules and discover your unique creative voice. And you want to seek out a supportive environment of cellists to boost your confidence and give you more opportunities to perform. So now you understand the exact next steps that you need to take to get those results that you're looking for, whether that's better sound, better technique, more confidence, less anxiety, playing faster, any of those things. These 3 things put together, super powerful tools. I've shown you how you can achieve your goals quickly with these powerful mind and body tools. So I want to ask you all a question. We're just going to take a moment here in the chat. Are you enjoying your experience so far? So write yes in the chat if you found some value out of what we've been talking about today. Yes, awesome, Karen. That's really great. Thank you, Barb. That's awesome. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, that's good. Added some info. That's great. And have you come up with some ideas that you already feel excited about to implement into your own life and your own practice? If you have some of those ideas, you can go ahead. Yeah, the Lone Ranger approach is not good. It is not. Why don't you share some of your ideas of what you're going to do in your next practice and what steps you're going to take next to improve your cello playing? And is it fair to say that using these methods will help you get to your cello goals faster and with more fun than you had if you had not attended today? So overall, are you happy that you attended? You can put yes in the chat if you're happy. So I want to just talk to you about something, because you can take what I shared with you today and use that to change your cello life for the better. And I have confidence that even after this short time that we spent today, you now understand a way to help you feel more motivated, to play with better sound, have more confidence than you previously did before. And if I had, whoops, sorry. There we go. So you can take this knowledge, and if this was the only way of doing this, so if you took this knowledge, you're working on your own, you leave today with this option, this is definitely a worthy path to pursue. But if I had another option for you that allowed me to serve you at the highest level that you deserve to get to your goals with all the support and guidance that you need to work through these methods, if I had an option for you like that, would you like to hear more about it and what it could do for you? Let me know in the chat if you'd like to hear a little bit more about what we can do together going forward. Great. Awesome. Yes. Yay. Okay. So that's why, with great excitement, I want to introduce you to, and we've talked a little bit about this, my program. The program is called, Mastermind and Ensemble for Adult Cellists. CelloYoga Mastermind and Ensemble for Adult Cellists. It kind of got cut off at the top. And this is a one-year membership program. You can see on the screen here, these are our current members in our program. They are working with me on these really deep topics of really getting into the heart and soul of what makes people a better cello player. So the concept I've shown you today only scratched the surface of these mind and body methods that we can implement to improve your playing quickly and have more fun doing it. So let's talk about who this program is designed for. I think a lot of cellists here are really going to benefit from what you're telling me in the chat. So CelloYoga Mastermind and Ensemble is specifically designed for cellists who want to feel more motivated, inspired, and supported on your cello journey. It's specifically designed for you who, if you want to discover research-based, so true methods, research-based in science, to practice more efficiently. It's for people who are ready to let go of their inefficient practice methods and those things that are holding you back. And it's also for people who are ready to expand your creative horizons. And it really doesn't matter what level you're at. This works for cellists who've been playing for 1 year. It also works for cellists who've been playing for 20 years. And we have all these different cellists in our program. And it's also for cellists who are ready to invest a little bit of time. You don't need a ton of time. Like I was talking about, we don't need a huge amount of time, but you want to be ready to invest a little bit of time into your passion. It's for people who like to collaborate with a community of supportive peers. And as we talked about, that is the best way to move forward. And it's for people who also want expert advice on a continuous basis, not just in private lessons, because that's a once a week input and this is continuous. And cellists who want to have more fun and joy in their practice overall. This is not for people who want to practice alone. And it's not for people who don't like meeting new people. It's also not for cellists who are not open to new perspectives. And it's not for people who are not ready to commit some time to their passion. So let me give you a little brief overview of what this one-year program looks like. It's a one-year VIP membership. And what I mean by VIP is that we keep the group reasonably small so that everybody gets individual attention while at the same time getting the benefit of working with a group. And it's only for adult cello players who have played for 1 year or more. It's broken up into some phases. So let's go over some of these phases. In phase 1, we discover concepts in mind and body cello playing so that you can play with more focus, flexibility, more effectively than with traditional methods like private lessons or self-study, which means that you're going to reach your musical goals a lot faster. In phase 2, we develop personalized, customized strategies for consistent, effective practice routines so that you can have a proven method to improve quickly in the most effective way possible, meaning that you're going to reach your cello goals faster. In phase 3, we take a deep dive into research and science-based tools that you need to develop confidence, handle performance anxiety, so that your nerves will no longer get in the way of you expressing yourself with your full creative power, meaning that you're going to be able to perform for any audience you choose, whether that's your dog or whether that's Carnegie Hall. In phase 4, you're going to explore and refine your own musical voice through the art of improvisation. so that you can express your musical creativity in a way that's truly your own and has meaning to you. And this means that you're going to have a unique creative character that audiences will remember. In phase 5, we take a technical deep dive for strategies for better sound production by exploring the necessary components of right hand, left hand mastery so that you can have totally relaxed control over your instrument, no matter what level you're at, meaning that you'll enjoy playing and performing without the stress or worry of tension, pain, or bad sound. We also have guests, as part of our program, we have guest expert workshops. So you'll explore the world of cello playing in different genres through expert-led classes and workshops with some of the world's best teaching artists, so that you can discover all the wonders of playing the cello in different genres, from blues to Celtic to classical to gypsy swing, whatever you would like to learn. And you also get the experience of ensemble playing and recording. So you can discover how to play and work more effectively with other musicians by collaborating in ensembles and recording projects so that you can develop those high-level musical skills in a fun, supportive, and non-competitive environment. And there's nothing like recording yourself and working with a team to get you playing cello better. So if you're ready to skyrocket your cello progress, if this sounds like an exciting option for you and you want to get those results that you've been looking for, I've put aside a little bit of time in the next 7 days to talk to some of you and have a chat to see what we can do to move forward. I want to talk to everybody here to see if I can help you with what you're experiencing in your cello playing. So if you would like to speak to me one-on-one, you can go to cellogo.com and I have a booking calendar there where we can have a chat and talk about your strategy to move forward. So what will happen if we're to chat? We'll talk for roughly 45 minutes. You can bring your cello to the chat so that I can get an idea of where you're at. And what we're going to do in this strategy session is we'll map out an exact plan for you to follow so that you can feel more confident, motivated, play with amazing sound, and get those skills that you've been looking for. So this really is a kind of hands-on experience where we're going to get right into your cello playing and see what you need to move forward. So on this booking page, what you're going to find when you go there to cellogo.com, you'll find a calendar. If you have any trouble booking a call, because sometimes people have an issue with the Calendly calendar, don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me by email at mia@celloyoga.ca. And if you have questions, I can see that some people have questions in the chat. Let's just hold our questions for a moment. We're going to have a Q&A, and then I'll answer any questions that you have then. So on this strategy call, let me tell you exactly what we're going to do, because we're going to do an evaluation to see a few things. The first thing that we will talk about is, can we help you to get the results that you're looking for? Because we need to be a good fit or it won't work for us to move forward together. And we're going to look at the actual problems that you're experiencing, those specific problems. Each of you has different problems that you're having in your cello playing and how we can help you fix them. We're going to be talking about whether we're a good fit for you to solve those problems that you're having. And we'll find out if you're a good fit for us. So as I've been talking about a lot, this team environment that we've developed, it's friendly, it's supportive, it's non-competitive. And we like to work with people who are positive and willing to contribute to that group environment. So then after we have discussed those things, I'll show you exactly what the Cello Yoga Mastermind and Ensemble program would look like for you. And we'll see if you want to be part of it. So it's a no obligation call. We're not going to be, forcing you to become part of our program. But if you want to learn a little bit more about the program and talk to me more about your cello playing, this is your opportunity to do it. I don't open up my calendar very often because I'm very busy teaching and coaching. So this is really your opportunity if you want to talk to me. So now I know what you're thinking. This is going to cost some money, right? And yes, if you're joining our program, there is an investment to join our program, but I want to talk to you about what that investment looks like. So the good news is that the value of this program far exceeds the investment. When we were considering, so when me and my assistant were considering the investment, we took a big look at some of the programs that are out there online for cellists. And, first of all, the first thing we discovered is that there aren't a lot of people offering exactly what we do. Our program is very comprehensive, but we took a look at those programs, how much they cost, and we asked ourselves one question. We asked ourselves how we could offer this premium immersive cello program that gets top level results for adult cellists for the same cost as having one private lesson a week. So that was kind of my metric. If I had a student coming to me once a week for a year, how much would it cost? That's the cost of this program. And we also asked ourselves how we could do that and then offer 10 times the value of having that once a week lesson. So you might have seen some programs, and I've seen some programs out there that are upwards of $15,000 a year. And that is just an insane amount of money and crazy. And we do not charge that. So our program is nowhere close to that. It's not even close to 10K. When you book your strategy call, we'll talk about the specific costs because this depends on a few different personal factors. But you can expect, if you're kind of worried about that cost, you can expect to be pleasantly surprised with how much value we offer and also the financial flexibility that we offer for people who want to join the program. So Cello Yoga Mastermind and Ensemble is about mastering your skills in a way that's optimal for your adult body and mind. It's about connecting with other dedicated amateurs in a supportive, non-competitive environment. And it's about nurturing consistent and effective practice routines. It's about sparking motivation and passion for your instrument, overcoming your fears to become a more confident performer, exploring the very best resources to work through your technical challenges, improving your improv skills, and unearthing that beautiful sound and your unique cello voice. Here are just some of the people who have benefited from our program. I really encourage you to book a call with me. Even if you're not sure you want to join, I would love to talk to everybody who's here today and just get a sense of how you enjoyed the workshop, what you took away from it, and if there's anything else that you would want to see in the future. These people who have joined our program are improving because they're not letting their old habits bring them down. Let's say this program, let's say all it did was create more confidence in your playing. Do you think that that would be worth it? Put yes in the chat if you think confidence is worth joining a program to get. More confidence. Who would like to have more confidence in their playing? Yeah, for sure. Confidence is just key to everything, for sure. Yeah. If all this did was allow you to play with better sound, would that be worth it? Who wants to play with better sound? Better sound, just key better sound. And if all this did was allow you to find your unique creative voice through improvising, would that be worth it? Who would like to, I'd love to learn to improvise. So you might be tempted to wait until later to book a call, but I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. And the reason you should not wait is that I only have the ability to handle about 15 calls in the next 7 days. Our program is really busy and booking up all the time. So you really need to book that spot. Again, even if you're not sure, you're on the fence, you're like, oh, I don't think I can afford this. Book that call, we can chat. Make sure you get a spot because I only have those 15 spots. On top of that, our program has that participant limit I was talking about. I want to keep this really VIP. So if you're interested, you need to chat with us really soon. And we have now come to the end of our presentation. It's so awesome that you all stuck around. So for those of you who stuck around, you can take note of this on your notebook of your free gift. So to claim your free guide, you're going to go to cellogo.com/free gift. I will be sending this out in an email, so don't worry if you can't get this written down right now. You don't need to go there right now and get it. I'll send out an email after this for everybody who came so that you can get your free gift. And then the fun part of this is our prize draw. So for those of you who stuck around, you have an opportunity to win a whole year of Cello Yoga Masterclass series. These are so fun. I call it the world's most interesting cellists because some of the cellists we've had come are just amazing. So in order to enter this draw, all you need to do is to type your name into the chat and tell us one thing that you learned or enjoyed about the workshop today. So we're just going to take a few minutes. Whoever's here, write down your name. I'm going to be saving this chat and I'm going to get in touch with the winners later. Put down what you enjoyed most about this. Great, Amy. The 5-minute longbow meditation. Yes, such a powerful tool. Such a powerful tool for sure. And there's so many more meditations that you can learn as well, not just that one. That's great. So while you guys are doing that, putting your names in the chat, let's move on to the Q&A. So after the Q&A, once we do our Q&A, I'll announce the random winner inside our Facebook group. So I'm going to take all your names, I'm going to put it in a roulette wheel, and there will be a name, and we'll announce the winner inside our Facebook group. So if you're not a member yet of the Facebook group, it's called Play Cello Better with Mind and Body Methods. Don't worry if you're not a Facebook user. I am also going to send out an email that announces the winner. So if you're not on Facebook, you're not going to lose out on that. And I'm also going to announce by email as well. So again, don't delay in booking your call. Do that right now. Go to cellogo.com to book your free strategy call. I've had people who've booked free strategy calls who don't join our community, but they got a lot out of this call, just in terms of clarity and focus. And really, if you need help, like putting together your 1-point practice or a little bit of practice routine, get on that call with me because I can help you do that right away, or you can email me. Okay, so this is the part of the presentation I love the most, the Q&A. So I'm just going to stop sharing here. And what I'd like you to do, if you have a question for me, is put the letter Q inside the chat. And I'm going to take your questions one at a time. So just put a Q in the chat, and then I will unmute you guys so you can ask your questions. Does anybody have a question they would like to ask? I know I saw a couple earlier. Any cues? Cue for question. Ah, there we go. Okay, Michelle. Okay, so Michelle, go ahead and unmute yourself so you can ask your question. Should be
Hi,
able
everybody.
to. Hi, Michelle.
So I'm curious about how, when you book a call like this, and you're talking about focus and things to think about.
Yes.
How do you, like, what is your process for helping us identify things? Like, for example, I do take lessons.
Right.
And I am part of a strings group.
Yes. Yes.
And there's just things that you're assigned to do.
Right.
So
yes. So you're curious about how we would kind of get to the heart of what's holding you back, kind of thing? Yes.
Well, that, and then also what really to focus on. Yeah,
yes.
I started recently in a cello choir, and the Swan is on the list of things to learn, which is
wonderful.
Great, because who doesn't want to learn that?
Yes.
But, it's hard for me to identify things on my own.
Yes.
When I'm kind of flooded.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a lot of what I do as a coach, as a cello coach. I call myself a coach and not a teacher, because teachers will assign you specific things to do. And a coach, the difference is a coach will help you to unearth for yourself where your priorities really lie and what your best outcomes will be. And as for, when I work with children, I tend to give them a pretty strict sort of routine. But at a certain age, we become adults and we have these things that we are our kind of inner dreams. So when we have our strategy call, I have like a sort of a series of questions that I'm going to ask you that get to the heart of what it is you really want to do and how we're going to get you there. So they're kind of like psychologically smart questions in order to help you sort of unearth what it is you really want from your cello playing experience. So that's what we'll do in the strategy call, is really figure out where you're at, what you're doing. All those things that you're doing, they sound amazing and you should keep doing them, right? We just might want to bring a certain type of focus to each of those elements so that we don't get that feeling of overwhelm and like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn, right? Which I find, I don't know if you find that, but I find that that's something that comes up for adults a lot, is like, I have so many things I'm doing and I don't know where to put the focus. Is that something that happens for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So if you book a call, then we're going to get into that so that we can really whittle down and get deep. It's kind of like a little bit of cello therapy.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. I'd love to talk to you. All right. Great question. I love that. Who else has got a question? Karen. Hi. You want to go? Hi there.
I just had a question about the time commitment for the program and ensembles and when they meet. I'm guessing you have several ensembles going on at the same time.
Yeah, so we have several sessions a week because this is kind of an international thing, and we have students from all over the place, all different time zones. We have 3 possible sessions a week. And when you join the membership, your membership essentially covers all those sessions. But as a person joining the program, you don't have to come to all those sessions. It's just there for flexibility. So yes, so the ensembles, it's the ensemble music that we'll be working on. We're all working on the same ensemble music for a certain period of time. And then we switch to another group of music, but you basically get to choose which sessions work for you. So if we get on a call, I can go deeper into kind of when those sessions are and that kind of stuff. But that's the idea. Yeah, is that you have access to all kinds of different sessions that you can come to. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask? We're all happy? That's great. Yeah, I don't see any more cues. Okay, so yeah, I would love to speak to all of you, even if you feel like this is something that you're not really that interested in, you're not sure, if you're on the fence. Oh, Vera. Vera, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yes.
Hi, Vera. Hi.
Hi. You said before that that you do invite international players to join your program.
Yes. Yes.
Right now, it's almost 10 p.m. in my time zone.
Yeah, where do you live?
In Austria, in Europe.
Austria, okay, yes. Yes.
At what time of the day would the different ensembles start so that I could schedule it with my
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because this is a late session for you. We have 3 sessions that are at different times. So in my time zone, we have like a Monday morning one. And so if you're in Europe, that's like afternoon. So I think that would be one that's like good for you. Saturday, we do Saturday afternoon, which might be a little bit late for you. It would be evening, I think. And then we have the Thursday evening, which would be like the middle of the night. So you wouldn't come to that one. But as I said, for our membership, because we have those different times, you're able to find one that you could come to for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'd love to talk to you. If you want to book a call, we can get deeper into that. I'd love to talk to you.
That was the other question.
Yeah.
I just the appointments that were open.
Yes.
I think the first is at 4 p.m. That would be, I think, 10.
Okay, so it's kind of late for you. Yeah. Why don't you send me an email and we'll figure out together, because the calendar's not wide open, but what I can do is I can put some spots a little bit earlier. So if you send me an email, let me know that you want to book, we can just book manually like that. Okay, so we can find a time that's not too late. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? iPad. iPad, which iPad is that? There's 2 iPads. I don't know if it's the same iPad. I think it's the same iPad. Hi, iPad. I'm assuming you have a real name.
This is Teresa. I don't know if that's me.
Oh, hi there, Teresa.
I don't know why my name isn't coming up.
That's okay. I know you, Teresa. We've spoken before.
No, I don't think we have.
Maybe a little bit just by messenger. I feel like I've spoken to you on messenger.
We've got a few messages.
Yeah, just a few.
I loved your presentation.
Oh,
it's
thank
very
you.
helpful.
One
of the things I really liked was you were talking about getting a musical community, because I know I'm learning a lot of classical.
Yes.
But I'm very interested in learning how to use the cello in a more contemporary way or something.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So as a musical community, do you recommend just getting cello players or maybe just other musicians?
Well, it is better, I find, if you can be working with other cello players, which is why I created the program that I have. Because I find that when you work with other cello players, you're getting that benefit of you working on the same problems as each other in a lot of different ways, right? So you're going to be reinforcing a lot of the things that you're learning. And also when we do ensemble music, because we do multi-level ensemble playing, you get that experience of working in an ensemble, but with your instrument. So it's very cohesive and focused that way. Yeah. Whereas like there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing in your local orchestra and this and that. This is just a very different experience in terms of focus, right? That's a really key pillar of what I find a lot of adults are missing. They sort of join, they join their local orchestra and they join this, they join that, but then they're missing the pieces, the foundation that you need to really hone in on your ensemble skills. So I would recommend, I would love to talk to you. We can chat and see if you would be a good fit for the program,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. And I think, is that everybody? Anybody else have a question?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Pauline? Hi, Pauline. I think we've spoken before too. I recognize your name.
Long time ago, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you in the UK?
No, I'm in Australia.
Oh,
My session
nice.
was 5 o'clock this morning.
aha.
It's Monday morning.
Are you an early bird?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
good. So that
The
suits you.
sunrise, the sun came up while you were on.
Yeah.
How long would each session be, and how frequently?
Yeah.
So that I don't know how many people are in this time zone.
In your time zone, you might be the only one. We have some Europeans, and we have some West Coast and East Coast Americans and Canadians.
Yes.
But we have 3 sessions a week, and each of the sessions are a couple of hours long. So we do 2 hours each session. Again, like I was sort of saying before, you're not obligated to come to all of those. The idea is to create flexibility, so you can come to as many as you like, right? Or are able to.
They're weekly.
Yeah. 3 sessions a week. Possibility of 3 sessions a week. Yeah.
So, but you need your cello with you, because at some point
you actually don't have to have your cello with you. So like kind of like this, some people will come in and just observe the sessions, and you get a lot of benefit that way, especially when people aren't feeling good, or they don't want to practice because their neighbors are going to hear them. So we do have people that just come in and like observe what's going on. So it's not like you don't have to have your cello, but when we do ensemble playing, obviously it's to your benefit to have your cello there, but you can also learn from the environment as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great questions, guys. You guys have very good questions. I'd love to talk to you more. So book a call, we'll chat. Anybody else? You can go ahead and just like unmute yourself if you have a question. I know we have quite a few people here. Lots of people here today. Wow, what a great crowd. That's so exciting. Dvorak in a year. Yeah, Robert. Well, if you join our program, Robert, we'll get you playing Dvorak in a year. I've already heard you play. He's not that far away. Maybe the first movement. We could do the first movement in a year. It's a big one. That's hilarious. Well, if no one else has any questions, I think we will say goodbye for today. It was very wonderful to meet all of you. I really hope you'll book a call so that we can go a little bit deeper into what you're needing, right? From your cello playing, what you're looking for in a coach and in a program. I'd love to just hear your feedback as well. So if you enjoyed what you enjoyed about the workshop, what you might want to see in the future, book a call and we can talk about those things also. I'm going to take down all the names of people who have put their names in for the draw, and I will be announcing that within an hour or 2 in Facebook, and then I'll send out an email to the winner. So thank you so much, everybody. It was a wonderful time. I'm really glad. Yeah, let me know like what you enjoyed. Thank you so much, Melinda. You feel inspired? Good. I'm so glad. That's the whole purpose here, is to get you guys inspired, just feeling good about your cello playing, moving forward. And hopefully I will see you again. In the next workshop that I'm going to be having in March, I'm actually going to be switching up the topics because I've done this similar workshop a few times now, and I'm going to switch up the topics and look at some different areas. So if you are around in March, feel free to register for that next workshop, and I will see you guys there. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.